First modern combined arms battle. Sir John Monash at Hamel, July 1918. In the early hours of 4 July 1918, infantry of the 3 brigades of the Australian Corps carried out a successful combined arms assault on German positions outside the village of Le Hamel on the River Somme in northern France. Commanded by Lieutenant General Sir John Monash, the diggers took all their assigned objectives in just 93 minutes. Monash's Symphony. With infantry, armour, artillery and aircraft at his disposal, Monash commanded what amounted to a modern, integrated force that was typical of most of the fighting during the final Allied campaigns on the Western Front. In his post-war account, Monash would describe this all-arms or combined arms battle to a symphony for which he had been conductor. A perfected modern battle plan is like nothing so much as a score for an orchestra composition, where the various arms and units are the instruments and the tasks they perform are their respective musical phrases. Every individual unit must make its entry precisely at the proper moment and play its phrase in the general harmony. Background. Monash had commanded the Australian Corps for little more than a month before the Battle of Hamel, which was the first major offensive action by the British Expeditionary Force since Canberra in November 1917. The freshly established Australian Corps, unlike the British formations decimated by German assaults on the Somme and at Arras in April and May, found themselves in a more favourable position, holding a section of the front line on the Somme River near Villers-Bretonneux. Australian raids and patrols indicated that German morale was low and their defences were weak. The Germans' inability to secure a decisive victory against the British and French before the arrival of large numbers of newly deployed American troops put the Allies in a favourable position to launch their own counter-offensive. The German defences facing the Australian Corps at Le Hamel were clearly vulnerable. Planning. Seeing the eagerness of the British Tank Corps to test the new Mark V tank in battle, General Sir Henry Rawlinson, in charge of the British Fourth Army, collaborated with Monash and the commander of the Tank Brigade to devise an operation aimed at straightening the line on the Australian front. These proposals emphasised the importance of surprise by quietly registering guns according to new artillery techniques and air support methods. The plans recommended a strategic attack with specific objectives, utilising infantry and armoured units. The infantry at Le Hamel would advance along a 6-kilometre front, backed by all available technological and tactical advantages. To bolster the assault force, consisting of 10 Australian battalions already depleted from previous battles, General Monash included 2 companies of inexperienced American troops, totalling about 1,000 men. Much like the careful planning at Messines, Monash meticulously orchestrated the Battle of Hamel, engaging in thorough preparations and consultations with commanders and staff across all branches of service. Approximately 250 officers attended the conclusive meeting on June 30, where a detailed agenda was discussed for 4.5 hours. An exchange of ideas. The widespread belief that Monash alone devised the tactics employed in the Battle of Hamel overlooks the collaborative exchange of ideas among planning experts. Monash, like his counterparts in the BEF at the time, deliberately drew upon a wealth of tactical knowledge and advancements accumulated over the preceding 4 years of warfare. He utilised the latest attack strategies, concepts and technologies derived from past successes and failures. None of the tactical innovations deployed at Le Hamel were entirely new. Claims suggesting otherwise, such as the first airdrop of ammunition to frontline troops previously carried out by the German Air Service in May 1918. The use of aircraft to mask the sound of tank formations, previously employed by the Royal Flying Corps at Poelcapelle in August 1917, and the combination of smoke and gas in preparatory barrages to deceive the enemy into wearing gas masks, utilised by the British as early as the Battle of the Somme in 1916, are inaccurate. Creeping barrages, counter-bombardments and predicted fire were honed throughout the numerous battles of 1916-17, while machine gun barrages were considered the hallmark of British expertise by mid-1917. The Australian experience during the Third Battle of Ypres illustrated the effective use of firepower to support attacks with limited objectives, particularly the bite and hold battles at Menin Road, Polygon Wood and Broadside throughout September and October 1917. Success. By employing these methods, the Battle of Hamel achieved significant success. The Germans were taken by surprise, and all assaulting units reached their objectives within 93 minutes. The Australian Corps, along with the British and American units involved, suffered 1,400 casualties, while German losses were estimated at around 2,000, including 1,600 prisoners. Notable awards won at Hamel. Incidentally, 2 Victoria Crosses and a Medal of Honour were won at Hamel. Australians Private Harry Dalziel and Lance Corporal Thomas Oxford were awarded VCs, while American Thomas A. Pope won the Medal of Honour. Harry Dalziel won his VC when, his unit held up assaulting Pear Trench, he single-handedly charged an enemy machine gun with just a revolver, killing its crew and capturing another German. Lance Corporal Oxford earned his VC when his unit, 16th Battalion, was held up by heavy fire from the edge of the wood and the northern part of the Kidney Trench, and the battalion's lead company lost its commander and sergeant major checking their advance. Alone, Oxford managed to flank the enemy position and, dashing at the enemy after lobbing several grenades, he forced his way into the German machine gun position at the point of the bayonet, killing 10 defenders and capturing 6 others. US Army Corporal Thomas Pope won his Medal of Honour and the British Distinguished Conduct Medal for also single-handedly rushing a machine gun nest that was holding up his company. Legacy. Although relatively small in scale with limited objectives, the Battle of Hamel was a successful use of combined arms tactics, demonstrating, as Monash said at the time, quote, "the perfection of teamwork." Thanks for watching and see you next time.